US president has become just the fourth American leader to address a joint sitting of the Irish Parliament. Mr. Biden is on a three-day trip to Ireland. Earlier, he met his Irish counterpart, Michael D. Higgins, and the Irish Prime Minister, Leo Varadkar. On Wednesday, thousands of people gathered to welcome him as he visited distant relatives in Carlingford, in the northeast of the country, while his opening day in the country was spent tracing his Irish ancestry. Today has been a day of politics and diplomacy. Well, for more on President Biden's visit to Ireland, let's bring in Arise chief correspondent John Cookson, who joins me live from London. Good to see you, John. And he's in the Republic of Ireland on a personal and political visit. The personal, of course, celebrating his ancestral Irish roots. But what's the political dimension of his visit?
Hi there, Charles. Good to see you. Well, President Biden just finished, just in the last few minutes, his speech to the Dáil, the Irish Parliament, only the fourth US president to do so. And it was an interesting speech, I have to say. He started off by waxing lyrical about his Irish roots. And of course, that brought some cheers and applause from the assembled members of Parliament and those of the upper house. He then went on to talk about the unity between the US and Ireland, and really out of nowhere, after speaking, wistfully about his Irish roots, he then talked about Ukraine and praised Ireland for standing up with the US against what he called Russia's brutal tyranny, which brought a big round of applause from the audience. He also praised Ireland for the amount of help that the country has given to Ukraine, the amount of food, millions of dollars worth of food and other aid to Ukraine, and for hosting, Charles, 80,000 Ukrainian refugees from that war, which 80,000 is a staggering amount and deserved of praise. He then went on to talk about issues that he raised yesterday when he addressed the University of Ulster, saying generally that peace will bring security and prosperity to Ireland. And that was really the only mention of the anniversary of the Belfast Accord, which featured in the speech, which just ended a short time ago. He said that the biggest threat to the world at the moment was climate change, and he praised Ireland for its green technology that it's developing. And it comes as no surprise that it was a very warm applause, a very warm welcome that he got in the Irish Parliament today.
And John, we're looking at actually live pictures of him. He's still in the Irish Parliament. He's applauding someone, and he's got a nice smile on his face. But of course, as you mentioned, it's just a day after his trip to Northern Ireland. I wonder, one day later, how the people there have been absorbing the visit and what he's been saying, what they've been saying about the Good Friday Agreement and the resumption of the power-sharing Stormont Parliament.
Look, the thing that's stopping the Northern Ireland Assembly meeting is the objection by the Democratic Unionist Party. Four other parties want to resume the sitting of the devolved Parliament. And the DUP's problem is results from Brexit and the subsequent accord over how goods will reach Northern Ireland from the UK and whether they'll be subject to customs tariffs. And I don't want to get into the weeds of all that. So Brexit is the problem at the moment. The British Prime Minister and the Irish Prime Minister believe when they get together next week that they can try and push things forward. So that will be a good thing to come out of this visit by Biden. There's a kind of momentum building Charles, to make a breakthrough so the devolved Parliament can start sitting again. And I think people are reflecting today in Northern Ireland about that and hoping that some breakthrough can be made as a result of President Biden's visit.
And just staying with Northern Ireland, the carrot, John, in the softer US tone, you might have touched on this, and this less muscular diplomacy is that the resumption of the power-sharing government would attract US money and investment and would boost the economy in Northern Ireland.
Yes, absolutely. President Biden said yesterday that there was about $6 billion worth of investment waiting, US investment waiting. But American corporations are nervous, especially in these troubled economic times, and they want to see a peaceful way forward. And of course, and that will be an extension of the peace accord that's been in existence for 25 years, not without trouble, and I'm sure there'll be difficulties ahead. So it's this peace dividend that Biden's been stressing today, again, a short time ago in the Irish Parliament. And this has been his message, has it not, for the last 48 hours since he arrived, that without trying to bully anyone into accepting the new accord, he's walked a kind of diplomatic tightrope and made speeches that have been non-committal but hinted that all parties should get together and resolve the differences that remain between them, and that the Northern Ireland Assembly can start sitting again, because that's the key. That's the way forward for Northern Ireland, and indeed for the prosperity not only of Northern Ireland but for the Irish Republic as well.
John, thanks very much indeed. John Cookson, Arise Chief Correspondent, talking to me there from London.